Everything else the same, modes are the same as yours, electronic suspension's the same as yours.
It's on mint, good.
Cruise control's the same, yeah, everything's pretty much the same. Important thing in your pocket so we don't
lose the key.
Don't lose the key.
No. So here we are at Cooper Sunderland in Bolton, Tyne-and-Wear, and there is the R1250 GS HP, which replaces the Rally. I don't know whether it's going to be called the Rally, but as you can see, it says HP, so that's what it is. And I'm going to take it out to give it a ride and tell you what I think. Whoa, that's interesting. Clutch is set well in. So here we are on the BMW R1250 GS, the HP edition. I'm currently just riding away from Cooper's BMW where I've just been. The bike's been set straight away in low. And it actually feels very different from my GS8, which I wasn't quite expecting. And that's before we start. The first test is going to be dual carriageway driving. Which will be interesting, but before I go any further, he said pulling up far too close to this Enterprise van. It's much lower, or feels much lower than my GS Adventure, or indeed the R1200 GS 2017 that I had. As you'll note, that's really weird. I'm flat-footed and I can get both feet down flat, which is something of a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. With it being equivalent to the Rally, I thought it was going to be higher, as the Rally is. Alright, so we've clutched up to there. We're in dynamic mode. Gear shift is smooth using Gear Assist Pro, I should say. And let's try pouring the sauce on. Wow. That's all I've got to say. Wow. You hit that little bit of extra throttle and it goes really, really nicely. Now, I don't normally ride in dynamic mode, I've got to say, but I'm enjoying this. Let's get another overtake in. In top, open the throttle, it just pulls. This could get you in trouble because you really don't realise how fast it's going. Moons up. So yes, that extra 84 cc's on there does appear to make quite a bit of difference, and obviously the variable valve timing, well, cam shift cam is making the difference. And if it kicked in there, which I assume it did, then I didn't feel it kick in, other than there was an unleashing of some power. Is it more powerful in feel than the 2018 GS or the 2018 GS8? Not at the moment. It's very smooth. It's very, very smooth. And the Gear Shift Assist Pro seems to be working very well. Now, the windshield on this appears to be somewhat smaller than the one I'm used to on the GS Adventure, or indeed the aftermarket one that I shoved onto the GS that I had. But it seems to be giving me reasonable protection. I'm not being buffeted, although I am feeling the breeze. Should let you know I'm 6'1" with a long back. deep pockets. But this is sheltering me quite nicely, to the extent that it's not exactly obvious that I'm doing 70 miles an hour. It comes as standard now with the TFT screen, so you don't get the option of those horrible unseeable clocks that they used to have. So the TFT screen is standard. Let's try a downshift from 6th to 5th with shift to 6th Pro as we go up the bank. Seamless. 5th to 4th, seamless. Blips it, does it, lovely. 4th to 3rd, seamless again. Actually better than the gearbox and shift assist Pro on my current 2018 GS Adventure. Leaning into corners, this is just so handleable. I don't know how many miles this bike's got on it, probably not many. It's the demonstrator, so it won't have got too many on, but as you can see, it just handles beautifully. Looks of the thing, red, white and blue, what's not to like? And I'll find somewhere to stop and give you a look round it in a few minutes. I've got a place in mind. Interesting to note that whoever had it before me had left the heated grips on, which I'm thankful for, and they feel entirely as good as the heated grips on both the 2017 GS and the 2018 GSA, both of which of course I've had, and one of which I still have. Switch gear is exactly as you would expect, nothing changes. On this HP version, you'll see down here the SOS button. If you have a whoopsie, then the SOS button will automatically call on your behalf to the call centre and report you as being fallen over, which is tremendously nice. The SOS button works either manually, you can press the button, or if the bike falls over with you on it, or not actually, then it will call into the call centre. It's not something I would like to test out, frankly, and I hope none of you ever have to test anything like that out, but it's a handy thing to have all the same. This is fully spec'd, it's got everything on it, absolutely everything on it, and cruise control will work down to 17 miles an hour, 16, 15. Cruise control down to 15 miles an hour, so very handy for this kind of thing. And yes, it's handleable, very handleable. So we'll park up and we'll have a wee look at it. So, not wishing to upset Mr. Flyer, Miss Endon, let's give this a go, shall we? So it is the R1250 GS HP, the rally version, and as you can see, its colours are very much red, white and blue, mostly white, even with white hand guards. Now, you may or may not be aware of other bikes that have this kind of colour patternation. Patternation? No, this colour pattern. And yes, that would be the Africa Twin DCT. Has exactly this kind of coloration, which you may or may not like. Gold coloured spoked wheels with BMW badged Brembo brakes on the front, and very strangely Brembo badged Brembo brakes on the back. The rest of it is pretty much as you would have expected from the 2017 and 2018 models. I'm pretty sure this is not the lowered chassis version, and it's very, very comfortable to ride. Unlike the 2018 Rally, this one has got separate front and back seats, or rider and pillion seats. The exhaust is exactly the same bloody great big thing that's been on there, but it sounds lovely. And this is it. This is the whole look of the thing. And of course the important part, the identifier, the shift cam cover on the rocker box. Is that what they used to call them? In a new change, we have GS written, look, there, on the windscreen. I think that's a sticker. Yes, it is. LED lights is standard, and it's noticeable that the front piece has this extension on it. That's the white bit there is where it would normally come to, but there's this black extension on, which I quite like, because that's going to give you a little bit more cover. And a full front mudguard down by the wheel. Such a shame that they didn't put the hugger on the back there. But that's it. Cost on all of these is about 500 quid more than the previous model years, but we'll get the actual costs and put them up on screen somewhere. So that, as they say, is the look around. So let's get the fat lad's backside onto it and take it for a bit more ride round, put some petrol in and see just how it goes. Of course the TFT screen we all know and love, well, I love it anyway. It's very clear, very easy to read. And I've reached tank reserve level, right to the next filling station. It's exactly what I'm going to do. So there we go, that was the look round. Let's ride. Tells me I need to put some petrol in it, so I'll go off and do that. And then, yes, there it is, there's the message, right to the next filling station. Alright, you can go away. That's it, gone away. Bimbling, I can hear that there's mechanical things going on in the engine, but I've not noticed any funny noises before any extra power kicks in. And at this level it's being very, very frugal with chucking out any nasties into the air, according to all the blurb, which is good. The TFT, as I say, is now standard, which I think is as it should be. I'm a big fan of the TFT in terms of its legibility and all the rest of it. It's very, very easy to watch, very easy to see. And where are you going, dear boy? Dear girl, I do apologise. This clutch is it's set to be very, very close to the handlebar, which I'm not used to. Mine's set further out, but that said, it's very light, very, very easy to get used to. I need to be slowing down here, I think, because yonder van is likely to come through. Are you coming through? Come on then. There you go. Good lad. Thank you. So yes, easy to ride. It feels quite stable, quite well balanced. As you've seen, at reasonable speeds it tips into corners quite nicely. So we'll go and have a bit play about and see what it looks like on roads that are perhaps a little more twisty. I've got to say, throttle response in dynamic mode is snappy. So let's try. Oh, I don't want enduro. Rain. Road. Right, we're now in road mode. and dropping down to 38, and as ever dropping down to 30. That's it, and let's hit cruise control. Forward for up, backwards for down. So 30 it is. Obviously at 30 miles an hour indicated, this bike will be doing about 27-28 miles an hour. It is surprisingly comfortable, and I've got to say the riding position is such that unlike my previous GS, I do not need bar risers. I don't understand why that is, but I had bar risers on the last one. I'm not needing them on this one. I'm really impressed by the handling. Obviously, this being the HP model, it's got everything that they do on it. So ABS, traction control, leaning ABS, lean sensitive, it knows the angle you're at. It's got everything you can think of, including the ESA suspension. And what that basically means is this is set in minimum, so the bike senses what you're doing. It senses the weight, it senses whether there's one of you, two of you, whether you're two up with luggage, two up without luggage, all that kind of thing. It senses the weight, and it works accordingly. So it keeps the suspension exactly where it needs to be. Now, I've had that on the last two GS's, and it works exceptionally well. I'm very keen on that. I like the way it works. But then I'm new school, not old school. I've never been old school in my life. So confidence inspiring, this. Very, very confidence inspiring. Right, how much is it today? An arm, a leg, me bollocks. I'll not be filling it to the lid, so right. That's better. 10 quid has just taken this to more than, well, it's one bar over half full. 20 litre tank. I would be expecting somewhere in the region of 50 miles to the gallon for this. I don't understand the whole kilometres per litre thing. It doesn't work for me at all. So I'll stick to miles per gallon. It's very easy to get carried away with this, even in road mode, but road mode is noticeably less touchy than dynamic mode. And I'm effectively doing town driving here. I'm going to go through one of the local villages that can be a right pain in the arse. So we'll see what the slow handling and everything else is like in terms of town riding, urban riding. Urban? Yeah, urban. Response to the throttle is much more muted in road mode than in dynamic mode. Dynamic mode, you twist it and it's there, so there's no real notion that you're kind of on a more powerful bike. So road mode is very, very similar to road mode on the GS, and in town, yeah, where you're stuck to 30 mile an hour limits and all kinds of strange traffic setups. That said, it's handling beautifully. I'll also say that the seat setup on this is such that it's the pillion seat, the front of the pillion seat forms a small backrest, coccyx rest, which I can feel snuggling up against my bottom. not in a nasty way. It's very pleasant, and it gives you a little bit of confidence that you're not going to get thrown over the back of the bike or slide off the back of the bike if you give it lots of beans, because it does seem to want to accelerate quite nicely when you give it the beans. Afternoon, sir. I'm beginning to wonder what other riders perceive this to be. Because the colour scheme, I don't think it reflects anything that BMW's done before. Certainly not with the white hand guards. Then there's going to be a massive argument who did it first, Honda with the Africa Twin or BMW with the R1200. Well, I've never seen white hand guards on a 1200, so I've never seen white hand guards on a GS at all. Alright, so slow handling there. It's not an issue. It's not trying to tip, it's not trying to throw me off or anything like that. It is in fact very balanced. Not quite as well balanced as my GSA. Maybe that might be, that could be my own bias coming in, or it could be me trying to turn myself off of buying one, which I'd already done. I'm not going to, because I've just bought the GS. Question is though, should anyone buy this? Now, I'm going to tell you, when I stood in the showroom and looked at this, the HP in red, white and blue with the white hand guards, my initial reaction was, looks like an Africa Twin. I'm not sure I like that. But riding it, this is, it feels lighter than the 700. Now, I don't have any experience of KTMs and all of the other marks of adventure bikes that are out there, whether they shaft drive, chain drive or belt drive, if indeed any belt drive ones exist. I only have experience of BMW adventure bikes. I've ridden the 700 GS, the F700 GS, I've ridden an R1200 GS, and I have an R1200 GSA. How does this one slot in? Well, I like it. I like it a lot. And if it wasn't for the fact that I already have a GSA, then I would have been very, very tempted to swap my 2017 R1200 GS for this one. Would I consider buying one when the GSA is ready for trading in? Well, I want to ride the GSA version of this, the adventure version of this, before I make my mind up on that. But if this is anything to go by, then I think I might very much like to do that. My wife may disagree, he said, turning off the heated grips because his hands were burning. Would you believe? For the kind of riding that I do, and I would love to get somebody on the back just to feel how that handles. This is really nice. The dual carriageway work, as you saw, it's just not an issue. There is no problem with it. It bats along, accelerates really nicely. It's very controllable. It's not drafty. It's not bouncing about all over the place. It's everything that you would hope it would be, and possibly a little bit more. The power and torque is there in plenty. So I'll go that way. So filtering, not going to be an issue. Foot down, not a problem. Very, very easy. Like I say, I've got 29-30 inch inside leg, and it does the job, no bother. Dead easy. And even on that slightly leaned over, just handles it, no bother at all. It's just so smooth. I like this new engine. I like its engine note. Steady boy. wow, that little bit extra push is, yes, that's very nice, very, very nice. It's not an awful lot, but the change in pickup and acceleration is palpable. I'm loving the way this runs. It's really nice, really nice. And the Shift Assist Pro is a definite improvement over the 2017. 2018 probably on a par, but the gearbox does feel slightly slicker, slightly smoother. Certainly I've not had any jerkiness out of it. Quite often I've noticed on the 2017 version that I was getting pulled, you know. And on the 2018 GSA version, if you don't release it, well, it's the same with all of them, if you don't release the gear lever all the way, then you can't just blip up. You've got to have full movement on there. Once you're used to it, it's fine. And it's not difficult to get used to. I'm not criticising it, I'm just saying that it could be an issue for some people, you know, with fat feet. Geet, big, fat, smelly, hairy feet like mine. Alright, and back to Cooper's we go. I think I have ridden this long enough to be able to formulate my thoughts. That was almost at a standstill and there was absolutely no issue about balance or anything else. Just did it. So let's see how we go now. There we go. Up into 6th with barely a blip. Lovely. Quiet, it's assured, it gives you confidence. If you're in the market for moving up to an adventure bike, then this would be a very, very nice machine to try it out in. It's comfortable, it's long-legged, I could sit in this seat all day. I love the seating position. I like the fact that it's got the adventure pegs on. Everything about it is just nice. And do you know, I could even get to like the colour scheme. The HP, if this is going to be the top of their range, bloody nice bike to have. And I suspect it's going to sell truckloads, absolute truckloads. So, I have been a fat lad on a brand new, quite expensive bike, and I like it a lot. Would I buy one now? No, because I've just bought a GSA. If I'd been on the GSA, yes, I might have thought about doing the trade-in. I've got to be honest, that was the thing that worried me. I do like it, and the colour scheme's growing on me more and more every time I look at it. Oh, terrible. As I take the back to Coopers of Sunderland here in Bowden, whence the bike came. Thank you very much for watching. Please do consider subscribing, give it a like and a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. I'd be over the moon if you would do that, and I shall see you on the next video. I'm hoping to be taking more BMW R1250s out, because obviously there's an RT to have a look at. Oh yes, and the TE model of this and the base model of this, so we might get a look at all of them. In the meantime, from Fat Lad on a Bike, thanks for watching, see you next time, ta-da. So there you are. I've ridden the R1250 GS HP version, and I've got to say it's a halfway house between the GS standard, if you like, and the GSA with the GSA style pegs with the frame protectors on it. The seat, it turns out, is slightly lower compared to the GSA standard seat, or the GS standard seat. I'm going to try it, try one on my bike. It's altogether an absolute delight. So yeah, I'm Dave, Fat Lad on a Bike. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you later. Ta-da!